Well, the geostrategic environment of Europe is changing so rapidly, and not necessarily because of Brexit or Mr. Trump in Washington, D.C. We have to change our considerations about how we will build up our future. I think Europe should be more in control, not just because of those two events, but looking at the rise of China, looking at the influence what the Russian Federation does on European politics and geopolitical situation. I agree that the European Union should be more proactive. It should have its own strategic line, since the European Union pronounced it wants to be a global player. To be a global player means to be in charge and to control a sequence of events rather than to follow them. The European Union should speak out from the position of interest and values. If we do that, we will have more comprehensive policy line reflecting, in fact, situation in a better way. In general, I am very happy how the European Union has changed its policy line after 2014. It was not easy. It was not given. We will reflect the changed situation in Moscow to regards its policy line towards neighborhood, but it happened. So that's why we have to sustain that policy line. We have to build up probably new conditionalities and to be not just a speaking, let's say, organization, but acting organization once again. It's important not to pretend to think that Russia will change its aggressive behavior towards neighborhood if we do as little as we did before. I think we must look at some events with a certain anticipation. What I mean, for example, what comes to implementation of Minsk agreements. The European Union should be proactive, asking the Russian Federation to act accordingly to Minsk I and Minsk II. And secondly, we should not let Russians to dominate negotiations on eastern Ukraine or Crimea. We have to come up with our understanding and to ask even our partners, transatlantic partners, I mean, to act in the same way. But so far, I see Europe more reality-based, and I think we have to appreciate this change, which was, as I said, was not automatic from the very beginning, and it was not given any guarantee from some member states that they will not request the overview or I mean the change of the policy line after 2014 we accepted in the European Union. So that's why let's be principle-based, but again, reality reflecting. It's important you know, to keep human rights very high on our agenda, since EU is not just a trading bloc. It's not just about business and trade. If we don't ask those countries to comply with at least with the average of performance, then we become a part of those you know, I mean things which we don't like at all. With Belarus, we're still quite, I would say, low at ensuring higher standards in Belarus. We changed our policy line from no relations to some critical engagement, but Belarus still remains the only European country with death penalty policy. What comes to Russia, you know, I mean, our contacts are more limited. But I really like every statement of top EU officials, as well as members of European Parliament and National Parliament, raising that issue. You know, if we don't do that, we put the Russian opposition to very bad situation. They need our support, open-minded, and the Russian society, which is really not pro-Putin, not pro-Kremlin, but more engaged into cooperation with us, they need our support.